Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do the new To BookTube tag. This was started by the booktuber Between Chapters. I just thought this might be kind of fun. I haven't done it yet. I know I did an intro video where I did talk a little bit about myself, but I figured this is a little more geared towards booktubers in general, just because it's bookish type questions and those are fun. So here we go, jumping right in. Question number 1. Where are you joining us from? I'm actually originally from Miami, Florida. I've lived in a bunch of different places, but I now reside in Illinois. Question 2, how old are you? I'm 31, I'll be 32 in March 6th to be precise. Number 3, why did you join BookTube? I've been reading pretty much my whole life, and one of my favorite things to do is to sit around and talk about either a specific book or just talk about our favorite books in general, least favorite books. I love the discussion that comes from analyzing a story, analyzing characters, analyzing plot points, and digging deep into that stuff. On top of that, I thought it would be a really cool tool to kind of build my author platform because I am writing my first novel. So that's kind of an added bonus, but I really do love to talk about books, and I love, like I said, jumping into rabbit holes and analyzing the absolute shit out of something. Number 4, what is the meaning behind your channel name? It's my name. Number 5, what kind of books do you read? I honestly read kind of an eclectic mix of everything. I like nonfiction, I like true crime, I like fantasy, YA, adult fantasy. I've never read a romance, but I do enjoy romance in my stories, so I probably would like romance. I mean, I'll pretty much give anything a read. I'll give anything a shot, and more often than not, I enjoy those books. Action adventure is a lot of fun too. Mysteries, thrillers, though I can't read those at night because I freak myself out. So I have to read them during the day. If I read them at night, I just get all freaked out and start like seeing things in the dark, and I get creeped out. I get very creeped out. Like Stephen King, I can't read Stephen King at night because I literally will freak out. Número 6. Who are some of your favorite authors? My favorite author of all time is Ernest Hemingway, particularly A Farewell to Arms. It's one of my favorite novels in the entire world. Also, I love his short story, A Clean, Well-Lighted Place. That's my all-time favorite short story. As far as contemporary authors go, I like some of Chuck Palahniuk's work. George R. R. Martin is a friggin' beast. I mean, like I said, I have a pretty eclectic mix of books that I read. Peter Moss is really great. He writes a lot of true crime. Anne Rule is another one that writes really great true crime books. I am planning to read Six of Crows by Sarah J. Maas, and I've heard that she is amazing. I've heard that series is amazing, particularly Six of Crows, so I'm super excited to get to read that. Number 7, what was the last book you read? The last book I read was the first book in the Alpha Drive series. I just finished it, and I'm just getting into the second book now, The Order of Omega. And it was really good. That one was by Kristen Martin, who coincidentally is also a booktuber. Number 8. What are you currently reading? Like I said, I'm reading The Order of Omega, which is the second book in the Alpha Drive series by Kristen Martin. And I am also reading Special Minds by Allie Kay. I usually read sometimes 2 or 3 books at a time, depending on the book. There are certain authors that I can't, when I read their books, I cannot read any other book. It has to be that one book. Like George R. R. Martin would be an example. Whenever I read anything in the Song of Ice and Fire series, Song of Fire and Ice? Song of Ice and Fire. I cannot read anything else because it's just such a complex world, and the way that he structures his chapters and blah, blah, blah. It just gets really overwhelming if I'm reading another book at the same time. So when I'm reading George R. R. Martin, I do not read anything else. Number 9, what do you use for bookmarks? I do have some bookmarks that I picked up for free over at Barnes & Noble. I usually grab a handful of them because I'm that asshole. But I mean, I'll pretty much use anything that is handy. If I don't have a bookmark readily available, I'll just look over on my end table and find, an envelope or a receipt or something, and I'll just use that as a bookmark. I would like to get a nice bookmark, or maybe possibly make my own, but I haven't done that yet. Number 10, show us your current to be read pile. Ta-da! This is my current to be read pile. I have The Devil in the White City. This is actually a true crime novel that my brother-in-law recommended. It's the story of H.H. Holmes, who was a serial killer in the 1800s in Chicago. So I'm super excited about this one. It is by Eric Larson. It actually tells two stories. It's H.H. Holmes, and then it is the architect, right? Yeah, the architect behind the World Fair where H.H. Holmes would find his victims. So yay. The next one I have is One of Us is Lying. This one I actually just kind of picked up on random. I was at Barnes & Noble looking for a different book. I was looking for this one, as a matter of fact, and also Wise Guy, which is the story of Henry Hill. If anybody knows who Henry Hill is, or maybe you don't. He, Ray Liotta's character from Goodfellas, that was actually a real person. His name is Henry Hill. And he wrote two books. Well, he co-wrote two books. He wrote one with Peter Moss, and then he wrote one with Nicholas Pilecki. Was it Peter Moss that wrote The Lufthansa Heist? No, it was not. It was Daniel something. The Lufthansa Heist is amazing. Amazing. And then Wise Guy is the book that he wrote with Nicholas Pilecki. And that's what the movie Goodfellas is based on. It's based on that book, Wise Guy. Anyway, so I was looking for this one and Wise Guy. And I saw this just kind of sitting on the shelf. This is a debut novel from Karen M. McManus. It's called One of Us is Lying. And I'm pretty sure it's like a mystery thriller. But it's pretty much five high school students that are in detention, and one of them is killed. And the whole novel, you're basically trying to decipher which one is lying and which one is telling the truth. So I'm super excited to start this one. I also got Jaws by Peter Benchley. I've seen this movie, I don't know, like a million times since I was a kid. And I saw the novel and started freaking out because I really want to read the novel. I've heard it's amazing. And I don't know if this is the original cover, because that's the cover of the first movie, if you can see. That's the cover of it's the cover of the first movie. So I don't know if this is the original cover. I should Google it. I'll Google it later and let you guys know. Next, I have Cinder. I've heard this series is absolutely incredible. Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I've never read her before, but this was highly recommended by a few booktubers, so I'm kind of excited to get into this one. It's basically Cinderella but Cinderella's a cyborg. So I'm super excited about this. And lastly, but certainly not ever least, I just ordered The Keeper's Vow by Francina Simone. I do watch her BookTube channel. You guys should check her out if you haven't yet. She's absolutely amazing on her channel, and she's just got a lot of really interesting things to say, and seems like my kind of gal. But I've got her book because it sounded really interesting. Number 11. Which do you prefer? Hardcover or paperback? Ebooks or physical books? Owning or borrowing books? Okay, so hardcover or paperback? I tend to like hardcover better. I know pretty much my entire to be read pile is all paperback. I have one hardcover in here. But I tend to like hardcover better. I just feel like they're sturdier, and plus they can stand up by themselves in the bookshelf. So if I'm rearranging stuff, I don't have to worry about them plopping over. Plus, if I put it in a bag or something, I can always just take the sleeve off of it so that doesn't get damaged, and just put the actual book into my bag, and not have to worry about, it getting ripped or torn or something. I do have to worry about pen exploding all over it, but but I usually keep my pens in a Ziploc bag anyway. But with a paperback, I mean, it's just, it can get bent, and you know, the cover can get damaged. So I prefer a hardcover if I can, but I don't necessarily mind a paperback. Ebooks or physical books. I do own a Kindle Fire, which I use a lot. And I do like the idea of having all that space to carry just a bunch of books. But there's just something about a book in your hand that is unlike any other feeling. To be able to physically hold it and smell it and see it, as opposed to seeing it on a computer screen. Something that is completely its own and not sharing space. So I would say that I prefer physical copies of books. Owning or borrowing books. Really the only time I'll borrow a book is if somebody offers to let me borrow their book, or if let's say I just need it for class, because I am in school. So if I need a book for class, for example, I think last year or the year before, I had to read Frankenstein for one of my classes, and I had never read it before. I thought I was going to hate it. So I went to the library and picked up the copy that they had there and finished reading it and absolutely loved it. So then I went ahead and ordered a copy for myself because I adored it so much. But I prefer to own a book. Number 12, what book or series got you into reading? I've been reading since I was about 5 years old. The first thing I read was the Amelia Bedelia series, and the first novel that I read was Peter Pan at about 6 or 7, which I didn't really understand very much of it because for those of you that have read Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, it's a pretty wordy novel. At least for a child that age, a 6 or 7 year old. It's pretty much the important parts are written in, you know, language that a 5 or a 6 or a 7 year old might understand if they're an avid reader, which I was. So I was that kid in kindergarten and first grade that did not want to take a nap. She preferred to read her book in silence. And it was perfect because I was situated like right in front of the window. I had perfect light, so they could keep the lights off. I had natural light. I was good. But my teacher would not have it. She did not want me to read. She wanted me to nap. And she even went as far as to threaten me that if I did not take a nap, I would not be allowed a snack afterwards, which that day happened to be chocolate chip cookies. Happens to be one of my personal favorites. So what did I do? I went home and ratted her out to my mom, who also coincidentally happens to be a teacher. And I told her my teacher wouldn't let me have cookies because I did not want to take a nap. I wanted to read. So she did what any great mother would do. She wrote the teacher a note and said, you need to let my daughter read because it's not like she's asking to play with a Game Boy. She's not going to bother anybody. She's just going to sit there and read quietly. And I mean, her not wanting to take a nap in favor of reading a book is not the worst thing in the world. It's helping her in the long run. The end of the story. I got to read my book. Number 13, how did you discover BookTube? By accident, to be perfectly honest with you. I was just perusing around YouTube. I'll be honest, I was watching pimple popping videos because I'm weird. And I kind of saw in the little recommended for you little scroll thingy, Jenna Moressi's, I think it was the top 10 worst female protagonists that she did, and I thought she was absolutely hilarious, so I watched a bunch of her other videos and watched some of her writing tip videos, and then from there it just kind of snowballed. I found Kristen Martin and Francina Simone, and Between Chapters, I found a bunch of people, and I was like, holy crap, there's an entire community on YouTube that just loves to read books. These are my kind of people. I want to hang out with these guys. Number 14, what challenges do you think you'll face with your own channel? Honestly, the technical side of things. I do have a camera. I pretty much just have a window that is a huge bay window, so I have the natural light. But as far as my editing software goes, I have a really great program. I just don't fully know how to use it yet, because I haven't really had it for that long. Hopefully, the more I do it, the better I can do it, and the more fancy. Not that I'm going to make my videos super fancy. I mean, because I'm not that fancy. And lastly, number 15, where else can we find you? Link up. I'm pretty much active mainly on Twitter. And Goodreads. I just signed up for Goodreads, which I'm super excited about. Another thing I had no idea about. The ones I'm most active on, I will leave down in the description below. And that's it, guys. Those were all the questions. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got to know a little bit more about me. If you did like this video, it'd be super awesome if you gave me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you have any questions or you just want to follow my journey in writing my first novel, you can follow me or tweet me at the Amanda Wilmot, or you can leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel on your way out, and I will see you next time. Cool.